Hi, Akila.
Hi, Reena. Nice
Hi.
to see you. Yeah.
Same here. So, my friends, Akila Vaidyanathan is a parent of a 24-year-old boy, an adult with autism, and she is the founder of Amaze Charitable Trust, and she's
Mhm.
also an active member of the Autism Society of India. So, welcome, Akila. It's so great to talk to you. And
Thank you so much for having me, Reena. Yeah.
mhm. Akila, I wanted to ask you about your son Nishant, and I wanted to know how are you? I mean, what are the things that you do at Amaze Charitable Trust? How is Nishant a part of it? And, how is he busy now as an adult?
Right. Maze Charitable Trust, we started when Nishant was about 17. And at that point, we wanted to really explore to find out what exactly would be, the rest of his life. He is a person who is not vocal, and he uses alternative modes of communication. He uses his iPad, Avaz, and he uses another software called Clicker to type his thoughts.
Okay.
So, but at that point, we were not like any other child at 16 or 17. We are trying to explore and find out what is their interest and what are they going to do for the rest of their life. That was the primary question that was haunting me, and it was at that point obviously not. He was not very academic and did not show any specific talent. He was a happy and what do you say, an active person, but no specific extraordinary talent, say in music or art or anything that was very obvious to us. So I needed to actually amaze. I started with an idea of exploring what are the other possibilities. If a child is not really talented and not really very high in terms of ability, then what is it that really he does the rest of his life? That was a question that came to my mind. And so I needed a framework. And there was also another goal of till he was 17, I think almost for right from when he was diagnosed to 17, I have spent a lot of time with him, whether in the therapy room or in his school, trying to, be a partner, a co-therapist, so to say, to help the therapist as well as him to achieve whatever goals. So I also wanted to fade myself a bit out of the picture. So I wanted to create a system that would support uh, him also, outside of me. That was another goal. So with these
Wow.
two goals, we started Amaze. And so initially, it was just an exploratory thing where we tried. He was all his interests. I mean, whatever he would do in a sustained manner for more than half an hour for me was an interest. So uh, I would, do some art with him. We would do some computer-based work. I had a couple of resources. I had taught him cycling, and he was a good cyclist. But I got another person to start going with him, so he could go longer distances than what my stamina could take. So we started that process, both of me not being directly in his picture, as well as exploring many other things. And after the pilot, where I had two more young men, one of whom is now with SAP, is a high functioning person, and another person who's not autistic, but he was our neighbor who has cerebral palsy. So for
Okay.
all three of them, it was the same goal. So for about 6 months, we tried to figure it out. So with Bharat, who's the person who's with SAP now, for him that was the career path. He was academic. He had done his BCom, so he just needed a little bit of help with the soft skills, and he could be placed, and he's still happily working there. With
Wow. So he's
Shashwat,
with SAP, meaning what exactly does he do now?
he is sort of a person who looks into logistics. He's in that department. So he does some work on the computer, on the systems to monitor the logistics in
Okay.
SAP. Yeah, and he's quite been quite settled in that position.
Mm.
In fact, he's a very what do you say? Uh, is sort of a role model. Is what people would want their children to become mostly. Where he is, he drives the car, he owns his
Oh,
flat, he's paying
wow.
his EMI.
Wow.
So he's the typical success story with respect to the spectrum. And kudos to his family, his mother, and him for all that he has achieved. And we just played a small role where we guided them in the path which would suit him best.
Wow, but that's a great thing, to take him towards that kind of independence. You must be feeling so proud about yourself. No, it's so amazing. It's a great feeling.
As I said, I played a very small role in this, and his mom and I have become very good friends. In fact, she comes back and volunteers in Amaze. So that is what, again, another thing that I wanted to create through Amaze is this network of of parents. We are a community, parents, professionals, and the persons with disability who need to come together to solve these problems and support each other.
Yeah.
So, so if one starts taking credit for everything, then then that is sort of lost. So I would certainly give full credit to his mom, Chitra, as well as she has given me a lot. I've learned a lot from her, and she continues to support me. And I think couple of key things which I would like to share though is what helped Bharat was one was the we he participated in a couple of Wellbe Art for Autism festivals,
Okay.
and over there he was a rather shy and quiet person. So the drama really helped him to come out and become more ready to communicate with the
Uh,
rest of the world. So that's something that really was one of the turning points. Of course, our 6 months helped him to learn how to practically use what he already knew. Like he knew Microsoft Word or he knew Excel or he knew to go on the internet, but we gave him like an internship, real work to do. So he started learning to actually make a presentation because we were just starting up Amaze. So there was a lot of admin work that he helped me with, which helped him to learn his job.
but that's so beautiful, such a beautiful symbiotic relationship, no? It's amazing.
Yeah. And
Mm.
also the adventure camps, I think, they came and so they could network with a lot more people. So I think all of them played little roles in helping the family come out and explore the world because they've been in Coimbatore all life. So they really saw possibilities beyond, Coimbatore.
Ah,
So for them, it was that path. For Nishant, it was the other way around where I knew that it's going to be with all his difficulties in regulating himself, in sustaining attention, that he probably cannot fit in a mainstream kind of a environment successfully as it is now, unless there are huge adaptations made. I'm not against mainstream at all, but we have to look at it practically, whether one can support a person. Now there are a lot of opportunities coming up where there are like Big Bazaar, for example, is giving internships for persons with not very high abilities in tasks they can do, like even stacking up the shelves or cleaning and stuff like that, which probably would have suited. But at that point, there were no other opportunities. So we thought, let us try to explore and see what a person like Nishant would do for the rest of his life. So in 2014 is when I formally took up a batch of 5 of them, besides Nishant, who came with the same kind of status, meaning they were all 16, 17 years old. They had gone through a special school system where they were, even in the special school system, they were not 100% successful in the sense they were not able to figure out what they're going to do. Academics was not their thing. They had some level of communication difficulties. Most of them were not communicating functionally. Some
okay.
of them were speaking, but they were only echoic even at that age.
Okay.
and some of them were writing, but they were only copywriting without comprehension.
Yeah.
So these were the challenges that I saw, and many of them being from Coimbatore, which is a small town. So they did not know English, but their education was in English. So this whole conflict, was also in the way. They were smart kids, but they had no exposure to English. So it was more of rote memory or
Learning.
rote
Hmm.
learning.
Yeah.
So these kind of challenges is what they came with, and so we decided to do the same kind of things that we did with Nishant, where we spent about 6 to 7 months exposing them to art, to cooking, to computers, to a lot of sports and fitness activities, to housekeeping and self care activities, to actually, because even if they we didn't find a talent with these things, these are things that will help them anyway. They are life skills. Like
Exactly.
technology is a
They
life
are
skill.
important. Yeah, they're very
They
important.
are important.
Yeah.
So we started that way, and as we went along, 6 months. It took them 6 months to actually settle down in terms of behavior. Even they did have a lot of challenging behavior, which again we had to work through that. So at that point, they almost had one-to-one support. Some of the students needed two-to-one support. So
Oh.
uh, we just said that whatever it takes to settle this uh, individual
Mm.
and move them to the next level is what we'll do. So yeah, so they went through this routine, and it was 9 to 5 that they were with us. So we had ample time through the day to also give them breaks. It was not like, a regime, so to say. They had a lot of choice also in what they wanted to do. But there was a structure which supported that. That is what we provided. So like a scaffolding, if you can call
Yeah.
it that,
Which is so
to
important. Which is so important. It was such a beautiful nine
yeah,
to five to keep them engaged. 1 to 1 or 2 to 1. It's a lot of effort.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually we also included some group activities like, movement based or music based or sports based group activities. So that part of it is also taken care of. So within about 6 months to a year, we were able to sort of come to a profile of the student and know that these are the things that they have high ability in, and these are the things that they have high interest in, or they have both. Like they have high ability and interest, that's fantastic. But at least if they have ability, even if they don't have the interest, we could say, okay, this is a task you've got to do because, it's like all of us cook every day, whether we have the interest or not nowadays. So it's like something you've got to do since you can do it. And the other thing was, I'm interested, I may not have the skill or the ability. So you learn to do it. So
Yes.
these two things were the things that we focused on. Like, for example, if we want to take a specific example with Nishant, he's very much interested in colors and art. And I basically, I'm from a different, I did my degree in maths, and then I worked in IT. So, I'm a very logical, that kind of person, and I had no exposure to art. In fact, I think when I was very little, I attempted it, and I was quite discouraged by my teachers. So I sort of had a phobia with art. Most people have a phobia with maths, which I didn't, but I had a phobia with art. So I didn't know how to take that interest forward. But with the, guidance and with uh, open mind, when we explored, using technology, using a lot of technique. Some of my mentors for this have been, say, Shalu from Delhi, Shalu Sharma, or there's Mala, another friend from Chennai, who's an art therapist. So taking inputs from these people, when we explored art, in this, rather than looking at the outcome, just allowing him to enjoy that process because he really is interested in it. We found that he could slowly start creating some things on his own. In fact, nowadays, after almost 5 years, he has this burst of creativity where he creates his own design. He's no longer, say, copying.
So
So
he's
it's like
painting.
almost
Painting, is it?
both. yeah, painting is still very abstract, but on the computer with the graphics, there
Ah,
is a lot of form,
uh-huh.
as well as he creates. These are called fusion beads. They're very tiny beads, like pixels. So he creates designs with them, which can then be fused and made into some sort of. You could make a coaster out of it or something like that. So
Ah,
that's also something
okay, okay,
where
okay.
he makes designs of his own now, and they look like geometric, like mandalas, like simple
Mm.
mandalas.
Mm-hmm.
But this from just copying, he has moved to that. So and he's really sustaining interest in that over 5 years. So um, currently, if you look at his schedule from exploring all that, we he we run a canteen, an internal canteen in Amaze. So we have about three batches. That's about 15 adults who we are training, as well as we have a program called Dutch, which is for the younger 5 to 15 age group, where we do an add-on program for communication and literacy
Okay.
using technology, because I had to learn a lot of technology to get Nishant to start using assistive technology for communication or learning because of his
Yeah.
motor issues. So, based on that, we run this program where we use computers, iPads, and a lot of software to help them to jumpstart their academic or literacy skills. And we have students from other schools or being homeschooled who come after school. So this program runs only in the afternoons, 2 to 5 or little later, and we help the younger ones. We do not have an early intervention program. We don't plan to either. The whole idea of Amaze was to create systems that are not there, not to replicate systems that are already running. So there's a lot of early intervention, and we are not experts in that, so we don't necessarily run that. And um, we follow an open door system. So the parent is always present. Uh, if they are not present, it's by their choice. If they want to go out and do some shopping, that's also fine. But most of the time, they are present. And so we sort of empower them to start learning how to work with their child. And so usually our students in the after school program are with us for about maximum couple of years, by which time the parent learns how to create. Certain skills are acquired, like say the child didn't know to use a mouse or didn't know to type. So all those skills we help them acquire, and once that is done, it's only a question of adapting his curriculum and creating worksheets or creating learning lessons for him, which the parent does. So then we reduce the number of times they come to us from 5 times a week to say once a week. And some parents have become very independent, they don't even need to come back. So this program we also offer online, so we have
Oh, wow. You offer
students.
online also.
Yeah, we've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years, where we offer this technology based program online, where we work mainly with the parent to work with the child. So we assess online, and we have students from Delhi, Bangalore, Kochi, all over the country. So again, the numbers, so that we have 15 of the adults, 15 in our after school, and we have about 15 online. So we keep the numbers to that. That is what our staff can handle.
Mm. Okay.
And so that is what Amaze basically does. And Nishant, as we started with him, just to go back to that, he about half a day he spends in cooking and baking. So we have about 30 people on campus who have lunch or who have snacks, because it's a whole day program. Our snacks are more popular than the lunch. So lunch we even have orders from outside. So it could be 45 to 50 orders per day of
Wow.
snacks.
Wow.
So including the internal people. So he is usually half a day engaged in that program where he's cooking or baking. Four of our interns have done baking internships, including him, with a mainstream baker outside for
Wow.
about a
That's
year.
so
So they
amazing.
went and done.
That's really
Hello?
amazing. I can hear you. I said it's so
Yeah.
amazing to know all of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So we just supported them. It was not easy because, as I said, all of them are children with slightly moderate to severe difficulties. So the parent also came in some cases to the baking, studio along with the child, and teachers were there present to support them, to mentor them, and to bring back the techniques so that we could practice them in our center. So, but it is possible. They have learned, and they are more precise than any of us. Even if we miss an ingredient, we actually have visual menu cards for them
Okay.
to learn, recipe cards rather, for
Okay.
them to learn the recipes and to refer back when they are doing it. So there is a pictorial representation of the ingredients, the quantity is written, and also the method also is represented pictorially. And even if we miss out, say, vanilla essence or cinnamon powder, they will point and let us know that we need to bring this and keep it ready or something like that. So
Wow.
we find that they are capable of do, as long as the interest and if the interest is there, they show they've learned a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, and they have become regulated, which is very beautiful to see that they will initiate these activities now on their own. We are not, it's there in their schedule. They know they, we have a roster for them. They know it's their duty. They know what is the menu. Everything is there visually also on the boards. There on their iPad, it reminds them that this is today, this is what you're cooking. And hence, they're quite willing to do all these things. They've
But
also learned,
setting up such a structure is also so beautiful. No, you need to have that kind of thinking on
yeah,
how to set it up. So that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.